Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regular board meeting for Adelanto Elementary School District. Today is Tuesday, November the 14th, 2023. Call to order. Ms. LeVey, please.
Trustee Benz,
Present.
trustee Turner,
Turner present.
trustee Soto,
Soto present.
trustee Webster,
Webster present.
trustee La French.
Love French present. The time is 5:30. Moving on to section 1.04, Pledge of Allegiance. Would everyone please stand and place your right hand over your heart? Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Section 2, adoption of the agenda. Ms. LeVey, do we have any proposed additions, deletions, and adjustment in the order of business?
Madam President, we do. We'll be pulling item 12.21, approval of a study trip to New York and Boston for 20 Mesalinda students. We are tabling this item.
Thank you. Section 2.02, adoption of the agenda. Trustees, I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Trustee Turner, I motion to adopt the agenda minus the tabled item of 12.21.
2-1.
Trustee Soto, I second that motion.
Ms. LeVey, please take the vote.
Trustee Soto,
Soto, I.
trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Love French, I motion passed 5-0. Moving on to section 3, cabinet reports. Mr. Kraus.
Yes, thank you, Madam President, members of the board. Good evening, everyone with us this evening. Just a few quick comments, and then I'll turn it over to Dr. Wise on. Well, we were very excited to receive one of 6 electric buses today. It rolled up from the manufacturer, and it is electric. And I got to go out there and look at it with our team, and it's absolutely stunning. It's number 2007. We do have 5 more on the way. And I did want to thank Lori McMillan in our purchasing department, because she was instrumental in helping to write the grants that help get us new buses. And if you're not aware, we already have 3 electric buses, and now we're going to get 6 more. So we'll have a total of 9 in our fleet. And if we continue to get grants, which we hope to do, we will probably have to increase our charging stations. We have 10 charging stations on the bus yard. And so as the grants become available and we apply and we get accepted for them, we are looking to replace a lot of our older buses with newer technology and newer buses. So we're excited about that for our students, because again, it gives us reliability on the road during the transportation season. And I want to thank our transportation staff for embracing the new type of buses. And we'll be working with our mechanics to ensure that they have the training they need to be able to work on these electric buses as technology changes, which it continues to do as we move forward. So we're excited about that. I also wanted to wish a belated Happy Veterans Day to all of our staff and their families that are veterans in the district. It was Veterans Day on November 11th. We had last Friday off, and hopefully all of our staff and families, students had time to relax and enjoy the extra long weekend. Just to remind everybody, coming up, this is our last week before the Thanksgiving break. So everyone will be off after Friday for the next week. No students will be here. We'll have staff still working until Wednesday, but the students will be off the whole week and be able to enjoy time with their families as well. So I know everybody's looking forward to that. Also, I had an opportunity to go visit Morgan Kincaid, and I want to say to Miss Harvey and her students and all of the efforts of the staff over there, they collected a lot of socks to give away to a lot of charity groups in our high desert who may not have socks, to people that need socks, especially during this time. I don't know the exact number, but I believe it was over 2,500 pair of socks, which is a lot of socks. And so it's just exciting to go in the classroom, see all the socks all over the place. And then just the support that, people did to support her project. And so appreciate all the staff over at Morgan Kincaid and what they did for the families of the high desert that are not as fortunate as we are. I know also Dr. Wisen will probably talk about, I believe we're collecting turkeys as well. So as a way to also help our families this holiday season. So with that, that's all I have, but I want to turn it over to Dr. Wisen, and she'll give us an update on academic services and some of HR. Thank you, Dr. Wisen.
Thank you, Mr. Kraus. Good evening, President Love French, the Board of Trustees, and our AESD staff, families, and community. I would like to share some important updates on behalf of our academic services team and our human resources team. So this past week, we held our monthly LCAP meeting at Columbia Middle School. I want to thank our Columbia Middle School cheerleaders with support from our AYA to start the meeting off. We look forward to highlighting our students and their talents at our upcoming parent engagement meetings. We focused on the topic of parent and family engagement, which is our LCAP goal number 3. So we thank you to those who attended, lended your voice, and we look forward to upcoming LCAP meetings, which occur monthly. Our DAC meeting is coming up this Thursday. That's a virtual, so we'll be sending out notices through our Parent Square for that to join us. And those are monthly as well. We do have a food drive this month that we are collecting to support our families. And I do want to thank our academic services team, as well as our community partners who are coming together. So all those food, you can drop those off at your local school, and we have people coming around and helping us to gather. The state application for community schools planning is now open. So we do have a few of our schools, Braddock and Adelanto Elementary, interested in this grant, and we'll be working with planning sessions to determine next steps. Community schools take a whole child approach to the school setting in which the community and the school work together to meet the child's needs as a whole child, all of their needs. So I look forward, board, to bringing you more information at an upcoming board meeting about community schools and what that could mean for our district. A new behavior support plan to be used at all sites was rolled out. And it's what we like about this is it's focused on the individual needs of our students. We do believe that it's more streamlined. So we look forward to seeing how that goes and the feedback from our schools on making sure that it's working well. Our PBIS team, district team, they met this week and worked through a model action planning template to use to identify prevention and teaching strategies, which is also in alignment to our behavior support plan. Our comprehensive instructional guide teams met this past week to revise and update our guides. So we thank Ms. Bykowski for her leadership in helping our teams and all of our teams for their work in that important work. We held our first round of in-person letters training. Letters is language essentials for teachers of reading and spelling. Already, teachers are complimenting how this has already impacted their instruction. And that's the goal of professional development, is what can we do to better support our students? So we look forward to hearing more about that training. Half of our schools today were trained on iReady as they went in person. Our iReady partners went in person to train our teachers and administrators on how to administer the test, a little about the test. We are in an extensive and intentional rollout period right now, and we look forward to bringing iReady presentation to the board in the future to show how we are using this in alignment with data to support each of our children's needs. We held a quarterly site attendance clerk meeting. We pulled all of our attendance clerks from all of our schools yesterday and our administrators for just a little bit of that time to talk about attendance procedures, making sure that we're aligned. We want to make sure that our students are here every single day. And how do we put the proper supports and log those supports? The San Bernardino City County is giving each district a $100,000 literacy grant. This is for approval this evening as a consent item. And so we're really excited about this to support our literacy efforts as it regards to early literacy at our school sites. For HR was able to represent the district and met families of the community at the Coral Harbor Community Center in Barstow on October 26th. We met with over 200 job seekers and expanded our applicant pool. We collaborated with Grand Canyon University and the University Development Counselor, visited on November 7th and met with multiple employees to discuss furthering their education. That's exciting. Our HR managers and members of the negotiations team attended HR 101, Understanding Collective Bargaining Workshop put on by the Inland Personnel Council. We're continuing productive negotiation sessions with both ADTA and CSAA. And as of today, we have 156 active substitute teachers, 142 classified substitutes, and 289 approved volunteers. That concludes for HR and academic services.
And that concludes our comments this evening, Madam President.
Thank you. Moving right along to section 4, staff reports and presentations.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. We'd like to call the principal of Melba Davis Academy of Excellence up here and her team, and they're going to have a wonderful presentation this evening. We are excited to have part of their school. I saw some students earlier, so we're excited to see what they'll be presenting on this evening. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to the principal.
Okay, good evening. There we go. Good evening, Board President Love French, trustees, Mr. Kraus and Dr. Dwyzon. It is my pleasure to talk to you this evening about a few of the exciting things that we have going on at Melba Davis. So I want to highlight that we have again received platinum recognition for our PBIS efforts. Our students and staff are working very hard to keep our campus safe, responsible, and respectful. In addition to behavior, we have also been focusing on the academic side of the multi-tiered system of supports triangle. Last year, we started talking as a staff about how we could do a better job of intervening with our students while they were here with us on campus during the day. We decided that one thing that we could do was to have all of our support classes during our 7th period, so that would allow us to be able to move students around as they mastered skills or needed more support without changing their entire schedule. We also discussed our grading system and decided to use a pass-fail option, which allows teachers to have a little more flexibility without having to worry about assignments and grade books so that they can meet the needs of our students. Through much discussion and collaboration, we rolled this out for the current school year. We also are providing before and after school tutoring for math and language arts. So we also partner with University of California, Riverside, UCR, to offer MESA, which stands for Math, Engineering, Science, and Art, as an elective. The students participate in challenges and competitions throughout the year, and the first competition is roller coaster building. 4 of our 5 teams made it to the finals, and our teams won 1st, 4th, and 5th place out of over 60 middle school submissions. They would be here in person to tell you about their coasters, but their reward for winning was the UCR trip to Knott's Berry Farm. So that's where they are at this current moment. But I do have a video of the students telling you about their roller coasters.
Hello, my name is Alan Reyes, and I'm a part of the MESA program. The MESA program is an engineering program through UCR, where we compete with different schools. Our first competition was making marble roller coasters. As you can see behind me, this is our roller coaster called the Lightning Dash.
Hi, my name is Giancarlo. My name is Moises.
Hi, my name is Hiram.
Hi, my name is Mac. This is my 3rd year in MESA, and it's been really fun. Our roller coaster is the Jolly Twister. There's a lot of teamwork involved in the roller coaster competition. Sometimes some people have to make the press release, some have to work on the builds, some have to work on actually decorating it, and then Hiro did the drawing.
Did you have fun?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Jeremiah Lamelli Gaines, and this is my first year at MESA. I really enjoyed my first year at MESA building a roller coaster for my first competition. but I'm mostly excited for my next competition, will take place at UCR, where I get to compete in person against all the other students. I would love to invite you board members to watch us compete at UCR March 2nd, 2024.
Okay, so we will get you invitations for that later. So in addition to our behavior and academic legs of the triangle, we also know that we need to address the social emotional needs of our students. We offer an elective called Y-Try that gives students extra support in both academics, behavior, and social emotional issues. Here's one of our students, Derek, to tell you why he likes this elective.
And I think that peer leadership helps kids with their missing work, or if they want to switch classes, that they have a problem with a teacher that does not grade their work or help them with it. I think that Ms. Oliveris is there for the student to help them understand stuff that does not make sense. And I also asked how they are feeling and how their day is going. Peer leadership helps people with their anger, frustration, or if they're feeling sad. Ms. Oliver is also very helpful and understandable when talking to a student. If they don't get something, she says, ask for help. That's what I'm here for. She also makes the students feel good about themselves and happy. In peer leadership, she helps people be better than they were before. Peer leadership helps us see things that we never saw before we even walked into a classroom, and how good we can be. After a while in Ms. Oliveira's classroom, I learned that being good is easier than being bad. Once a wise woman said that a lot of stuff you wish you could have, but you can't have.
So, thank you, Derek. So, Mrs. Matheson, one of our teachers, started an after-school 3D printing club, and she did it last year, and she plans on starting again after the new year. She had two students, Ricardo and Kai, that were going to be here tonight to talk about making objects with the computer and the 3D printers, but unfortunately, they were both homesick today. So, Ms. Matheson is here to give you a very brief overview.
Good evening. So unfortunately, they did come down sick, so I'm here. So both Ricardo and Kai were with me all through last year. I taught them how to use Tinkercad. In Tinkercad, they are able to design their own 3D object. Once they created their own object, they were able to 3D print objects. So Ricardo actually designed these for you. So I have one for each of you tonight, but they are movable skateboards. So they were able to learn how to connect everything together, then print it out, load the 3D printers. Unfortunately, a lot of our students do not have access to this kind of stuff outside of school. So giving them this opportunity allows them to experience stuff that they may use later in their job career. We also have the wonderful opportunity to obtain a laser cutter this year. So I will be in January showing them how to use a laser cutter. So one of our students designed this. So it's a coaster. We have one for all of you, except for Mr. Kraus and Dr. DeWeisen. I will send you yours. Unfortunately, Amazon messed up our order when we got shorted some. So I will send those to you, but we do have one of these each for you tonight as well. Thank you.
So we have with us today, we have Miss Tony's 6th grade students that would like to perform a song that they used to learn about Mesopotamia. So I'm going to allow them to come up forward.
On them, some of them, I apologize. I'm so sorry. We make cuneiform tablets with all the board members' names on them. Some of them got a little messed up in the transit, but they're made out of love. They're not dry yet. They're made out of love. They are not dry yet. They air dry. There's no need to try to bake those or anything. One day, one of our students is going to be famous enough for you to sell that on eBay. You guys tell me. You're okay.
Euphrates River. Hey, I got a new lesson for you about ancient Mesopotamia. Euphrates River and the Tigris River form the cradle of civilization. Akkadians long ago conquered Sumer, took control. Sargon led his armies armies in their chariots they roll by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Persian Gulfs where they found ancient ruins underground. Archaeologists did lots of excavation down by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, both the Euphrates River and the Tigris River used to flood, bringing lots of fertile mud. But the problem was that water washed away the crops. Dams and levees made it stop. When it was dry, they'd irrigate. Fighting over water led to war between the city-states. Cuneiform is ancient writing that tells us Sumer city-states were always fighting. They were the first civilization in Mesopotamia. Then came the Akkadians who started empire mania. Akkadians long ago conquered Sumer, took control. Sargon led his armies in their chariots. They roll by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, near the Persian Gulfs where they found ancient ruins underground. Archaeologists did lots of excavation down by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River. King Sargon got real old, told his sons to take the throne, but the huge Akkadian empire would fall out of their control. Then came Hammurabi, who would ancient ruins underground. Archaeologists did lots of excavation down by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River. Babylonians built roads, they traded grain for gold. They kept themselves united under Hammurabi's code. Hammurabi's code, Hammurabi's code, Hammurabi's code, Hammurabi's code, which was a bunch of laws they believed that had no flaws. They obeyed it just because they thought Hammurabi was chosen by the gods. Oh, chosen by the gods. Whoa! Akkadians long ago conquered Sumer, took control. Sargon led his armies in their chariots. They roll by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, near the Persian Gulfs where they found ancient ruins underground. Archaeologists did lots of excavation down by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River. Mesopotamia!
Yeah, you'll be singing that for days, trust me. So our very last slide. So I have just included some pictures from our first home volleyball game. Our volleyball season is in full swing, and from our STEAM Scream event. The first one was a great success, and we're looking forward to making it bigger and better for next year. Thank you to Trustee Webster, Mr. Kraus, and Dr. Dwyzon for joining us on that night, and the haunted house was amazing. I want to thank all of our staff that helped with this presentation, and to Ms. Heitkamp and Ms. Villasenor for providing all the beautiful artwork on the walls. So thank you all and have a great evening.
Thank you very much. Board, you have any comments?
I did have a comment. Wow, that looked like a workout. Amazing presentation. And thank you guys for being here. Thank you.
I just want to say how much I appreciate you taking the time to come out here, do this. Parents, thank you for bringing them. We really do love to see them share what they're doing, and I love my long name in cuneiform. It just seems to go on for forever. I feel bad for Naomi, who had to do this one. So it looks great and I can't wait to just take it home. And I love to get good gifts. So thank you so much.
I would just like to say, I'm so proud of our students. Every time they come and entertain us, it's such a pleasure. It brightens our day. And I agree with my fellow trustees. This is absolutely incredible. And thank you, Z Martin and D Taylor. I will keep this. You know, my kids call me a hoarder. I don't get rid of anything. So this will last a very, very, very long time. So thank you so much. And thank you for the song. And that's like Ms. Yukovich said, that will stay in my head tonight. I'll probably wake up in the morning during the night. My husband's gonna say, what are you singing about her? Because I do that stuff. But again, thank you, parents. Thank you, teachers, for all you do for our students, administrators. Ms. Tori, thank you again. All of the presentations were great, and the 3D printer is absolutely incredible. So I'm looking forward to children, working on that and learning even more. So again, if I'm leaving anyone out, I'm sorry, but thank you so much for your presentation and entertaining the board today.
Good evening. I do want to start by thanking our Melva Davis staff, site admin. Thank you for being with us tonight and giving us that presentation. It was phenomenal. Miss Tony, I do want to say that was awesome. I'm coming by your class to learn how to dance because I still don't know that. I do want to make note that the STEAM Scream Night was phenomenal. I wish more could have experienced this haunted maze. My understanding is the students with site admin's permission turned their teacher's lounge into a haunted maze. This was borderline probably as good as Knott's. I'm going to be honest, and it was $2, way cheaper. But the talent and the skill and the creativity by the students was memorable. My daughter was thoroughly scared. Thank you. She deserved it. But I do want to thank you for being here tonight and thank you for your presentation. Everybody drive safe. And one more, Zachary Martin, thank you so much for my name. I am keeping this as well. Have a great night.
I concur with the rest of my fellow board members. I do want to say thank you. I always enjoy after coming up that pass after work and the children being here. It like shines a completely different light on, the home pass. It takes me quite a while to get here after work on Tuesdays. However, when I get to join in and people know I can't sing, I can't dance, but I enjoy it. As a preschool teacher, I always said that they don't know I can't sing. They don't know that I can't dance. So I always do it. And when you guys come, excuse me, when you guys come, I always say to myself that I would be scared to come here too. Every Tuesday, I'm scared to get up here sometimes because I might flop over a word or two, but I do it anyway because now I'm so comfortable that I said, even if I do, someone will correct me, someone will help me. And if you need a backup dancer, I really couldn't do it. I can. I want to thank the parents for taking the time to bring your children here. We greatly appreciate it. And Melva Davis, you guys, hold that torch up high and, I appreciate you. And it always shows by your achievements. Thank you. Okay, moving right along to section 5. And I take my glasses on and off every day, every time I come. You can see with them and can't see without them. Am I?
Still in section 4, yes, Madam President.
Well, thank you. See, there we go.
402.
Oh, okay. I thought Melva Davis had all of this. Okay, I'm sorry. 402, Academic Services, Mr. Cross.
Yes, thank you, Madam President, members of the board and members of the community here with us this evening. I made sure that Dr. Wise and her team ate their Wheaties this morning because they have a marathon session this evening of some great information to present to us. The first presentation they will be doing is on student achievement. And so with that, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Wise and her team to present to us.
All right. Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Kraus, AESD staff and community. This evening, I will be presenting on our current state test scores in comparison to state, county, and neighboring districts. To provide some background information, the California Assessment of Student Progress and Performance, or the CASP, is given to all students in grades 3 through 8 and 11. These tests are given to test standards attainment in English language arts, math, and in science for grades 5 and grades 8 only. The public dashboard is set to be released on December 15th. That's a full analysis of our district on multiple measures. I look forward to providing a more thorough presentation and snapshot of our district on indicators in the future. Students score in one of 4 levels. So 1 meaning not met in that particular area, 2 nearly met, 3 met, or 4 exceeded standards. In 2023 to 24, our district CASP percentages are as follows. We have English language arts at 22.74% of meet or exceeds standards in that particular area. Mathematics at 11.11% and science at 11.64%. This slide and the next slide shows the major topics covered in each of the testing areas. So, and for language arts, for example, you have reading, writing, listening and speaking, and research and inquiry. In math, you have concepts and procedures, problem solving, and communicating reasoning. And then in science, you remember that science is tested in grades 5 and 8 only, but the interesting thing about the science is that it's a cumulative test, which means that in 5th grade, they're actually being tested on everything from kindergarten all the way up until their 5th grade standard. And then also the same thing for 8th grade. So those are those standards tested are in life science, physical science, and earth and space science. So on this particular slide, you have the CAS meet and exceed percentages. I've narrowed this out for you by the state of California, the county of San Bernardino, and then our district. So you'll see the very top in blue for each of those categories for those tables are our current percentages for meet and exceed. So you'll see that language arts, you have the second table being math and the final table being science. So I've laid those out for 2 years so that you can see the percentages for both. It's important to note that California as a whole, and you've probably seen articles as a whole, is struggling and still reeling from the effects of COVID and the loss that was given, the loss that was occurred by our students. So you'll see that it's pretty much where, as a district, we're pretty consistent as far as maintaining where we're at. And so we know that while we're maintaining, we did not have major drops. And so that gives us a clear indication that we are on our way forward to kind of just build that foundation and keep moving forward. The next 2 slides lay out our schools. So in particular, this is our elementary schools, and you'll see you have 2 side-by-side tables for each topic. So you have English language arts for the current year, you have math, and then you have science. The numbers that are highlighted in blue shows that that particular school grew in that area. So to note, so you have Gus Franklin currently at 49.29% of students at meet or exceed, so about half of their students in language arts. In math, they're about 32.62%, and in science, about 35.79%. So Gus Franklin at this time is our highest performing elementary school. You have followed by Morgan Kincaid, Eagle Ranch. It varies from each time, but you'll see in the blue, you have different schools moving on different indicators. Additionally, if you go to the next slide, you'll see this is a breakdown of our middle schools, our K through 8 schools, and our alternative programs. And so this evening, we did hear from Melva Davis, who actually grew in all areas. You have 38.39% for English language arts, in math, 18.26%, and in science, 18.91%. So if you look at the elementary and you look at the middle, you'll see that for the English language arts and math, we had about 6 schools or so that grew, and the other half either maintained or very slightly dropped. And so it takes, in science, we actually grew a percentage because the majority of our schools showed growth. So 8 of our schools showed growth. So while there's a lot of statistics and analyzing that goes into it, what we're looking for is that the majority of our schools continue to show growth in all of the areas in order to impact the district growth. The next slide shows a surrounding districts comparison. So you'll see we've outlined California at the very top just to give you perspective, county, and then San Bernardino City, we have Snowline, Victor, Hesperia. We've listed quite a few. It's not all of the schools in our county, but it is a significant number in some of our major surrounding districts. So you'll see where we line up as a district compared with other districts, and we definitely are moving on our way up. And we continue to put the systems and the structures and the supports in place to meet the needs of all of our students. So while test scores, we just want to highlight that there are one snapshot, one data analysis in time. But what's most important is, what are we doing about it? How are we moving forward? What is our plan? Because we want to make sure that until that says 100% of all of our students are where they need to be, we're not done. The work is not over. So here's just some of the major highlights that we're doing and putting in place from the academic services and really all of our teams coming together. So we put a major emphasis on climate and culture. We actually have that presentation coming up next. Professional development. We've developed a robust plan for professional development for our teachers. Our site administrator leadership meetings, we meet twice a month for leaders to make sure that we are explicitly going through what we should see when we come in the classes, how we can move our schools forward. We've implemented core letters training, Heggerty. We involve ourselves in the county networks, and we've just overall increased our offerings for professional development. We've had the development and revision ongoing for our comprehensive instructional guides, which are standards focused. Our tests are standards driven. So we want to make sure that what we're teaching is aligned to what our students are going to be tested on, which is their attainment of standards. We have a focus on multi-tiered system of support. What does that first instruction look like? And are we making sure that we have interventions and tutoring available for all students across our district? We have a new aligned assessment system that we are in the process of rolling out, which is iReady. And along with that is a data chat module, which is very comprehensive, which involves the district, the site, the teacher, the students, and the parents involved in that model so that we all know where are we and where are we going. And then we continue our focus on early literacy. We have letters, one school, one book, core, Heggerty. All of those are important because even the tests, your math, your science, you have to be able to read in order to even access the test and show what you know. Additionally, we have the workings in the beginning stages of the development of AESD learner profile and focusing individual learning plans for all of our students. All of our students are not the same. How are we going to support each and every student's need? And then we've expanded opportunities, our expanded learning opportunities before school, after school, and making sure that we touch and hit and engage our parent, family, and our community to support our schools. So at this time, that concludes our presentation for student achievement.
Trustees, does anyone have a comment?
Madam President, I just want to say, excellent, first of all, excellent presentation. Very, very transparent. There's a concern with the math. It's a little low. Do we know what are the challenges as to why the math is so low?
There are multiple challenges. So really, I'll say the biggest challenge is making sure that our students are reading on grade level, because the testing starts at third grade and most of those math problems are their word type problems, figuring out multi-step problems. So we have engaged, we do work with CORE on supporting our teachers with the teaching of math. And so we look forward to also expanding opportunities for math. And we do see that not just here, that's a statewide, you see it's very low statewide. So they've also just developed a new math framework. And so with that framework will come better alignment for our teachers and teaching, and new math adoption is set to roll out next year. So they know that there's deficiency within our math materials as well.
Awesome, thank you.
I have a comment. To piggyback on Trustee Soto and the math, and you mentioned reading. What are we doing to increase our reading levels for our students so they can improve in math? Because if they can't read, they can't do the work. So what are we doing in that area?
So this is the strategic targeting of early literacy.
Okay.
So we've implemented, getting ready with that. I mentioned earlier in the comments, there's $100,000 grant that the county is given to all districts. We're using that to supplement Heggerty, which is a phonics and phonemic awareness, going back to the beginning, making sure students have those foundational skills. On top of that, we have professional development in CORE. We also have professional development, which is much more strategic and targeted in the letters training. It is very robust. You can probably ask any of our teachers who are in there. They give you homework, like you're practicing, you have to take it back to the classroom, try it with your students, bring that information back. But it teaches our teachers, how do I make sure that I'm reaching all of our students? We also supplement, we have One School, One Book, really talking about what is reading, why is it important? Because it impacts every part of our life. And so thank you for that question.
Okay. And I see that even our high performing schools, they're suffering in math and reading. How would that program help in this area?
Well, iReady is going to give us the data ongoing. Okay, so we should not be waiting until the end of the year to know how our students are doing. The iReady assessment is much more statistically aligned to CASP to give us an idea and give us indicators. Also built in within the iReady are interventions, what the teacher can do, and it also gives them practice at their level, where the skills to help the students fill in some of those gaps that they have in order to support their learning overall.
Okay. I know that Ms. Yukovich had Melba Davis mentioned a pass and fail. And I should have asked that question. Could you explain that? Do you know?
For her, I believe that's for her.
Seventh period.
I believe that's for her
Seventh
elective.
period
Yes, for
support.
Elective,
Yeah,
support classes, okay.
Yeah, because what we found is teachers were trying to meet the needs of kids, but they were having to, put grades in their grade book, and they weren't doing stuff that was meaningful. So we wanted to make it more meaningful. So they're
Okay.
working on kids that are, working at their level, and they don't have to necessarily give them a grade. They give them a
Okay.
participation grade, and then we turn that into a letter grade at the end. But
Oh, okay.
as they're going along, it's happening.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for this presentation. It's good to see that we are advancing slowly, but we are on the right track. And I would like to, thank all of you for even a small growth. That means a lot, and I'm glad that we separated the schools, because I would like to see how each individual school is doing and give the praises to the, the schools that are doing really, really well, and, the intervention to the students at the other schools that are not doing so well. So, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yes, it's my turn. Real quick, so I know after COVID, we were gonna have a baseline year. Is that 21, 22 is the baseline year? And the goal was that from there, we are trying to improve on that score, because the that's gone. So, okay, I wanted to make that clear. Also, really quick on the ready, how many times do you plan to assess students within the year?
So we will have it, it's kind of a mixed question. So major progress monitoring assessment, we will have that 3 times a year.
Okay.
However, there will be every 6 weeks, there will be progress monitoring. And really, if you have a student within an intervention set and you wanted to see maybe you're on a 4-week cycle, you could even test on a 4-week cycle. So the idea is that you're getting data real time, ongoing, and we're not waiting to see how kids are doing.
Okay. Also, the IABs, I know you use them. I mean, I know you use the ICCAs. Do you also use the IABs, which are the more focused ones? And do you use those more than once?
Yes. So we are actually in the process of also taking those focused IABs, which are focused IABs are the ICA is the comprehensive, you want to give kids a practice with the CAS, and it's very extensive. It's a lot of grading, it's involved. But many have found a lot of benefit with the focused IABs, which is a particular standard. It's got about 10 or so questions on it, and you get a real idea of how a student is doing in that particular standard. So we're also in process of embedding those into our comprehensive instructional guides, so that as you teach something, you're going to be able to assess it at the same time.
Okay, I'm just asking because I know that at first, when I had to do those, I was like, oh, great, more work. But it allowed me to focus and kind of look at the claims and, see where my kids have to go, but okay, because yeah, I know our kids can go up, and I just get anxious. It's like I expect wow from our kids because we hear all these great things. So, but I do appreciate the growth in the schools and the effort from all the schools and the staff and you all trying to make it impactful. And thank you.
I just have a couple of questions for one, really. But I do appreciate the breakdown of the individual schools. I was just curious on, now that we have a focus on TK, do we ever look at our numbers when it comes to our TK and follow them throughout their years? What does that look like?
So we are actually, that's a very good question. We're in the process of really looking at TK and how to track. So we do know statistically, TK students, if you're involved in TK, they do better in school because they're having that foundation early on that's developmentally appropriate for them. Additionally, we will be pulling our TK and kinder and making sure we're looking at them specifically for assessment to say, because it's not sitting them in front of a computer trying to take, that's not always developmentally appropriate at a certain time. So the state is moving towards using the DRDP for, that's the developmental test they use typically in the preschool setting. They're looking at using that in the TK program. They haven't finalized all of that yet, But we are staying abreast of that. But doing a longitudinal of our kids is actually some data that I'd be interested in pulling out. So we will continue to look at that.
Okay, and one other question I have too, because I know, we all know that I have my background is for Head Start, right? So we know that we've been using the DRDP in Head Start since the beginning of time, really, right? I just want us to think about, when we're thinking about our early literacy, and not so much treating them as their kindergartners, because they're still, they need development appropriate, but also sometimes you hear that on children coming in for TK, and they're coming from different households and, different backgrounds, and whether or not if they've been exposed into preschool, but we're getting them right now at their earliest stage. So how are we helping them in order to make sure that by the time they're in the 3rd grade, they are ready to read, they are able to do that, because we're now getting them when they are firsthand. So I'm glad to hear about the early literacy grant that we received, but I would like to see or know what happened, as we follow them as they go along. And the DRDP, of course, I advocate for that, as well as their curriculum not being a curriculum for a kindergarten. But we're getting them now. We should be prepared in order to help them excel. Besides playing or resting, or those periods, because even though they can't get on the computer, you'd be surprised on what a 4-year-old can do on a computer. They really can. So
Absolutely.
what they used to be able to do, I see them every day at work, they can do a lot on a computer. They can. Thank you. I get off that soapbox back. Okay. They can do a lot. They can. Okay, well, moving on to section 4.02, academic services. You can stay right there.
We have a marathon evening tonight. Good evening again. So this evening, Carol Coburn, our Director of Academic Services, will be presenting an overview of culture and climate. So the goal of this evening is to provide an overview of our school district climate and culture plan, describe current laws and ed code for disciplinary actions, including expulsion, provide an overview of current AESD policies and practices, and provide a district overview of current discipline data, just a snapshot. So this is an evolved look of our culture and climate plan. So climate and culture are pretty much all things that go into providing a safe and welcoming learning environment for our students. At the center or the heart of the plan is the relationships and the data that is used to drive our support of the whole child. Surrounding the heart are different elements such as physical and mental health, well-being, positive behavior interventions and supports, or PBIS. You have progressive discipline guidelines, SEL, bullying, restorative. While we focus on all these elements and building them up, we focus on prevention, intervention, and postvention as needed to support our children. Before I turn it over, I'd like to take this time to thank our district climate and culture team. We have Carol Coburn, Director, Mrs. Flory, our coordinator, TJ, our district's social worker, and our district's counselors, Gabriella, Cheryl, Areli, and Jessica, for their hard work in bringing this plan to life, and also included our district administrators and our teachers who support this work as well.
All right, moving to our next slide, safe and positive school environments. So California school discipline law requires that all school districts adopt and implement policies and promote a safe and positive school environment. These policies must include procedures for addressing student misconduct that is fair, consistent, and equitable in an equitable manner. So here I have listed our 4 general steps for discipline in California public schools. So the first one is prevention, the second is intervention, The third is disciplinary action, and the fourth is due process. So under prevention, all of our schools should be implementing preventative measures to reduce disciplinary problems. So this may include things like positive behavior interventions and supports, our PBIS, social emotional learning, and working with our students to learn those skills that they don't have, and then restorative justice practices. Our intervention includes, for our students that do misbehave, the school should try first to intervene using a less restrictive means, such as a redirection, counseling, or a parent-teacher conference, because we need to have the parents on board as partners, when we have misbehaviors going on in our schools. This may lead to disciplinary action. If it does, the intervention maybe was unsuccessful. And so the school may need to take disciplinary action, such as detention, suspension, up to expulsion. And this is according to the California Education Code 48900s. We have to make sure that we provide due process for every student. Students have this right, which means that they must be given notice of the disciplinary action, an opportunity to be heard, and the reasons for their action, either presented in writing or verbally stated to them. Next, we have our climate and culture manual. Board, you do have a copy of this plan in front of you. This is a guide that we use to promote district-wide culture of proactive intervention and consistent consequences grounded in evidence-based practices. We developed this and continue to update and revise in collaboration with Mr. Sherman Garnett. He was the former county welfare and attendance manager for many, many years, and so he's our consultant. Slide 6, this is an example of how we would handle a student discipline investigation. So I did list the steps on the side. First, we need to complete the whole entire investigation process to determine if there's any action warranted. We then would find the education code violation by description using this section of the guide, and it's at the back of the positive culture and climate plan. We would then take into account the student's grade level and look at the recommendations for that specific grade level span. Sometimes you'll see K-8 listed, sometimes you'll see 4 through 8 or K-3 on the side. We need to then also look to see, is this the student's first offense, second offense, or is it an additional offense? Because that could determine different disciplinary action warranted. We take a look at the severity of the violation and then focus. Not only do we have to provide the disciplinary action, but we also have to focus on intervention and restorative so that when the student does come back on campus, they have, education in that area that they need help and support with. And then consulting with the director of academic services or coordinator of student services or campus supervisors. So often we get calls from principals that want to talk through, different options that are available, just the case, or have us kind of review everything with them. And so helping and supporting our schools in that way is very, very helpful for them. I want to take just a minute to talk about the purpose of expulsion. So the purpose of expulsion is to maintain a safe and orderly environment for all students. When a student's behavior is so severe that it creates a danger to themselves or others, or significantly disrupts the education process, expulsion may be necessary to protect the safety and well-being of the entire school community. Expulsions are typically only considered as a last resort. Other interventions such as counseling, behavioral contracts, previous suspensions have failed to address the student's behavior. And in that regard, we would recommend for expulsion. The next slide is a matrix for student suspension and expulsion recommendations. Board, you do have a copy of this in front of you because I know the print is pretty small. You'll see it's laid out in 3 columns. The first column is category 1. These are Ed Code 48915C. And in this category, the student offenses, these are mandatory expulsion recommendations. So possessing, selling, or furnishing a firearm, brandishing a knife at another person, unlawfully selling a controlled substance, committing or attempting to commit a sexual assault or committing a sexual battery as defined by Education Code 48900M, and then possession of an explosive. These are all mandatory recommendations for expulsion. So our principals do all have a copy of this matrix too, so that they know if that offense does occur, it's an expectation to make that recommendation. In the second column, you see category 2. This is Education Code 48915A. And these student offenses are highly recommending expulsion unless the principal determines that expulsion is inappropriate, and that they would have to really talk through with their supervisor on the campus and kind of consult with that. And these are like causing that serious physical injury to another person, acceptance, self-defense, possession of a knife. A knife is considered anything with a blade that's 3.5 inches or longer. Or other dangerous object of no reasonable use to pupils, unlawful possession of any controlled substance, except for the first offense of more than 1 ounce of marijuana and over-the-counter or prescribed medication, robbery or extortion, and then assault or battery upon a school employee. So these are the ones that we're highly recommending that the students do make a recommendation for expulsion. The third column is category 3. These are Ed Code 48915B and E. And these are all offenses or violations that a principal could put a student up for expulsion. So they have a little bit more broad discretion when deciding these. And you can see there's 22 different areas on here. And we want to make sure that we point out that every student, every situation is different. However, we do have guidance from the state that they expect us to follow. So we have to, really abide by the education codes and the direction from the state. Over the past 2 years, we have been working to improve climate and culture across all of our campuses in the district. This year, here's some of the work to help support our teachers, administrators, and most importantly, our students. So I just want to highlight a few on here. So we have been really working on our PBIS supports. We have a tiered support system in place for our schools. Not all our schools need the same thing in PBIS. So we do have a set of schools working with a Safe School Collaborative to add more learning to their PBIS. We have Melva Davis, Morgan Cade, and Westside Park working with CAISP, and they're at a higher level of PBIS implementation. As you can tell from their PBIS words, they're scoring at the top. So they need something different than the other campuses. And then we have coaching available at Mesa Linda, El Mirage, Ted Vic, and Columbia. And then every school site has access to a coach for their PBIS team. So if they want the coach to come out and work with their PBIS team, they have that available to them. We do have an expulsion handbook that was created this year for our administrators. They have all but 4 have received training on the expulsion process and all the documentation that goes into it. The other 4 will be coming up in training when we get back from break. We have offered a lot of professional development this year to our teachers. We did a 2-day restorative practice training for people that were new to it. During our professional development day, we did a restorative practices level 2 training. We offered creative, a responsive classroom, and then managing emotional mayhem. And lastly, I just want to kind of highlight on here our Hope Scholars Program to really work with our struggling youth that are, just having difficulty working on a regular campus and need a little something different. And so that is thriving over there. Here's a look at our current data, and I just want to highlight currently we have our elementary schools. And so I did do a comparison of where they were last year in Q1 and this year in Q1. So you can see most of our schools are down. We have a couple schools that are right at the same, but we are, seen, some repercussions of our hard work with PBIS and kind of making changes out there. And then our middle school for Q2 as well. I do want to notice that Melva Davis is down from 9 to 0 over, 1 year, but also a reduction at Columbia and Mesa Linda for this year. So. And lastly, another piece of data that we really look at is we look at like the violations. What are the top violations that we're seeing across the district? Because as a district, we need to address some of those things that we're seeing out there. And so our PBIS district team is helping us to kind of look at this data, seeing what is happening on the different campuses and having some discussions on how to approach those and put them into an action plan for the school. So. And that concludes our presentation tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Board, do you have any comments or questions?
I do have a question. Thank you for that presentation. It outlined quite a bit of information. You mentioned that, where are my notes? The discipline plan, do each school submit their discipline plan to the district office for review? Or is it just one plan for the entire district?
There's one plan for the entire district. So we all, so that we're having continuity.
Okay.
They have the plan that's in front of you is that guidance plan for them.
Okay. And so in terms of this year, how do we justify the difference in suspensions compared to the other schools? Some schools have high suspension, other schools don't. Like Melva Davis doesn't have any, whereas.
Right. So they actually, the principals looked at their data at one of our principal meetings in October to kind of analyze and ask themselves those questions.
Mhm.
Oh, it's back on. And to ask their questions of, what are we doing different this year than last year?
Okay.
And so that information is what is being shared with other schools so that we can look at putting those best practices into place at other school sites as well.
Okay. My next question was defiance and disruptions. I know that there's a new, in California, we cannot suspend for defiance. Was this prior to?
This has been for the last couple of years.
Okay.
48900K
Mhm.
is defiance and disruption. And they've put it to K8. The new law is actually making it go all the way to grade 12 now.
Okay.
That it's a non-suspendable offense for anything that's under a defiance or a disruption.
So why did we have 29 for defiance and disruption?
Well, we still give the kids discipline. We just can't suspend for it.
Okay.
So they still are receiving some kind of, disciplinary action and support.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the number of incidents doesn't necessarily mean that they were suspended.
No, but we need to look at what disruptions are happening,
Right.
in the classrooms and stuff and see how we can help to mitigate and lower that amount.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, Madam President, I have a few questions.
Okay.
I'm looking at slide number 3, the wheel that we have here. I'm looking at the physical and mental health and well-being and the trauma informed practices. I'm wondering who is implementing these practices?
So most of our physical and mental health and well-being is being done by our counseling staff, or we refer out to Care Solis for students that need more intensive. We also partner with Desert Mountain Children's Center to provide support where the counselor actually comes into the school to see the students weekly. So we have trained professionals that are providing those pieces for our students.
Awesome. We also hear a lot about the social emotional learning, and it's amazing that we're actually tackling that for once finally. I'm just kind of wondering, what's an example of that? How does social emotional learning look like when we implement that, and how, basically what's going to be the outcome by the implementation of it? What does that look like?
So we do have some curriculum to help teach social emotional learning. We use Rethink Education. which provides different topics for teachers so that as they see topics maybe arising in their classroom, they can choose to do lessons with their students on it. But really the more impactful way is to just embed social emotional learning in your everyday teaching, taking the time for kids to, talk to each other about their work and care, about each other, taking the student perspective from themselves so that they are realizing when they're getting upset that they need to do some things to maybe refocus themselves or get themselves calmed back down. So it's embedding these strategies on a day-to-day basis in the classrooms. And our teachers are doing that. It's hard, when you got an academic focus and you've got to be there, but SEL is as important as, the academics. So those are some of the things that are happening right now in our classrooms.
Awesome. Next question is, what is the bullying intervention system? What is that?
So bullying intervention is the undercover anti-bullying team. All of our schools now have been trained, and so they're just starting to implement that. And so when they have a bullying case that arises, the admin are pulling a team of students together. They're pulling the bully and getting the story from the bully, and then pulling a team of peers, which includes the person that is doing the bullying within that team. And as a team, they don't meet with the student that's been bullied, but they hear the story. And then they come up with a plan to help assist with, getting that to stop, how would you feel? So they bring a lot of the restorative practices kind of into that conversation. And they just check back in frequently with that group of students and then with the other student that's been bullied as well. So we have gotten a session up at Ted Vic. We have another one going over at West Creek right now, and we're hoping to start one over at Mesa Linda as well. So it is new to us. Like I said, we just got everybody trained on it, but it has some promising data from San Bernardino City. And we've been working with one of our mentors over there who ran the training for our teachers. So we're hoping to see some pretty good results over this year and reduce the amount of bullying that we're seeing occurring.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, amazing, right? Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
nice. Anyone else?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, is there any way you could clarify the differences on page 13? We have physical, inappropriate, and hitting. What's the difference between physical and hitting versus inappropriate?
Okay, so if you're talking about a 48900A1, that's actually when you actually like physically like punch someone to the point where they're, you can maybe see a mark on them or something. Hitting would be more like of a slapping kind of a thing, more things that you might see like in a primary situation. And inappropriate behavior, Dr. Dwyzon's like, yeah, we need to make sure that we have that. So an inappropriate behavior would be like a student who's out in line and he just like cuts in front of somebody, to get on the slide, or, pushes them out of the way to get in line first. Just inappropriate things. Maybe they're, burping in somebody's face, doing things like that that are just inappropriate. They still need to be called on it so that they can learn from it. But we wouldn't consider that. We consider the highest offense a 48900A1, which is actually the hitting, and leaving a mark, making someone cry. That's a more intense.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
I have a follow-up question based on what trustee Soto mentioned about the bullying. Now, you said this is new to you. Do you have a procedure, a written procedure that you're following?
There is.
Okay.
There's a whole documentation, and they went through the training on the procedure for running like the different groups. So I'm actually having Rebecca Flory put that into print for us.
Okay, great.
So that we have it just like a handbook,
Okay.
it's getting those practices and procedures in place. So
Yes,
we felt it was important to get the training going first, and then we're getting all the documents together. So by January, we should have that in
okay,
place.
great, because that's becoming a nationwide
It is.
thing, and we need to stay on top of that. Kids should not
Absolutely.
have to be bullied coming to school.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Thank you
Mhm.
so much for that.
Madam President, I also had a follow-up from trustee Webster regarding the physical violence, inappropriate behaviors. What are we doing to kind of tackle that area of violence, physical kind of behavior that we're seeing?
So we have seen, well, we haven't really seen an uptick. We've always had the 48900A1 violations in there. It's really teaching kids about how they affect others. So doing, a lot of restorative on them, with them. Half the time they are hitting each other over something really ridiculous, So it's really working with them and educating and teaching them alternatives. So there's alternatives. There's always another choice. And so really doing some of that deep decision making with them and teaching them how to do that. Teaching them about conflict resolution, especially at the middle school, so it doesn't get to that point where it's that physically aggressive. So we're putting some of those things in place so that we can hopefully reduce the amount of actual physical, altercations that we're seeing take place.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, my turn. First and foremost, I always want to say thank you to you, Ms. Carroll. I always enjoy listening to you when you explain stuff. I do. So I sit back kind of mesmerized. Like, I love the way you bring it crystal clear, and I do appreciate that. I'd like for you to tell me how you expel TK students.
No,
Okay.
we haven't yet. So,
okay, because I noticed that they weren't on here, so I do appreciate that they're not expelled. When it comes to, we know that all TK are not coming in on the same level.
Right.
However, we're there to guide, support, nurture, things of, having an environment set up in order to be able to assist and to help them. So I noticed that it started at K, so I was just curious.
yeah, and part of that is the state too. They don't really have a lot in line for TK. They're working on those things. But TK, they're just learning how to interact with others, appropriately and inappropriately. They don't really know that difference.
Right.
So that would be a lot of, student success team meetings with the parent, bringing in behavioral interventions, like Desert Mountain Children's Center to come work with the student, to, those that need more intensive. But it is really, a lot of learning and teaching, maybe a small group, a lot of redirecting,
lot.
yeah. So.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, moving on to 4.04.
Yes, Madam President. Again, we'd like to welcome Dr. Dwight on and her team to present on the English Learner Master Plan.
Welcome back.
Thank you. So our final presentation is going to be on the English Learner Master Plan. To kind of bring all three of these plans together, I just want to take a moment and just say thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to work for a district where a board supports the work that we're doing to support all of our students. And so we just want to make sure that we give thanks to our board for your support of the things that we need to do to make sure that we're supporting all of our students academically, socially, whatever needs that they may have. So on behalf of myself and our team, I'd like to thank our board and our superintendent as well, because the support is what helps to drive the work. So our final presentation this evening is on the English Learner Master Plan that we will be asking that you adopt later this evening. This plan is a required plan for our state and federal programs. So we receive dollars specifically to support our English learner students. And this plan will support their overall growth and development and provide a guide for our students. So this is a 3-year plan from 2023 to 2026 for students who are designated as English learners. It follows the California Department of Education English Learner Roadmap. It outlines policy, procedures, and processes for educating students who are designated as English learners. So at this time, I'm going to turn that over to Ms. Coburn.
All right, we have 3 goals that are the main purpose of our plan. We want all students designated as an English learner to progress in English fluency as effectively and efficiently as possible. Also be provided with an equal opportunity for academic achievement and develop a cross-cultural understanding and a positive self-concept. So that's the basis of our plan. Well, you may be asking, what is the California Roadmap or California English Learner Roadmap? It is a comprehensive policy framework that outlines a vision for educating English learners in California public schools. The roadmap was adopted by the California State Board of Education in 2017 and aims to ensure that all English learners have the opportunity to achieve academic success and graduate from high school prepared for college, career, and life. Right, we're gonna go back. She's trying to hurry me through. So there are some four key principles that are listed in the roadmap. I'll quickly go through those. Assets-oriented and needs-responsive schools. So this principle emphasizes the importance of creating school environments that are welcoming, inclusive, and supportive of English learners. We have the second one, that's intellectual quality of instruction and meaningful access. This principle focuses on ensuring that English learners have access to high quality instruction that's tailored to their English language proficiency level. So, they're at different stages as they advance in their careers. And so we need to make sure that we're working at their proficiency level to bump them up to the next level of proficiency. We want to make sure also that they're engaged and provided with opportunities to engage in meaningful academic and social interactions in English. The third one is systems condition and that support effectiveness. This principle calls for the creation of a strong system of support for English learners at all levels, from the state to the local school district. This includes providing adequate funding, professional development for educators, and ongoing data collection and analysis so that we can see what our progress is. The fourth principle is alignment and articulation within and across systems. And this principle emphasizes the importance of aligning our policies and practices across different systems involved in the EL education, such as the state, local, and higher education. So we want to make sure that that collaborative is happening between those levels so that we know what they need to be prepared for when they reach college, right? We need to know what they need to be prepared for so that when they get into high school, they're successful. So those are the four main principles. There also is alignment to our LCAP goals. So these ones listed there are the state ones. I just quickly wanted to tell you that they are aligned also to our own LCAP that we have in Adelanto. So a parent engagement, you'll see that within this document, as well as a lot of pupil engagement. You'll see school climate is throughout this, and then pupil outcomes and engagement. So our English Learner Master Plan, after we provide some direction on what the California Roadmap for English learners is, we've divided the rest of the document into chapters. So we have chapter 1 that is policy and procedures, chapter 2, understanding instructional programs, chapter 3, effective instruction and assessment, chapter 4, family and community partnerships, and chapter 5, English learner program and evaluation. So to highlight a few of the things that you see in the chapters. So chapter 1 talks about the process for enrollment and the initial identification for students designated as English learners. This includes parent notification of results and program placement. Next, in chapter 2, understanding instructional programs, it provides an overview of the assets-based instructional program as defined by English language development standards. So the state has specific standards for language development. So really it is talking about how our teachers deliver those standards in their classrooms. And there's two ways. They can either do it integrated, that's throughout the day in every different core area, as well as a designated English development time of the day. So that's all that they do for that amount of time with their English learners. So both of those things should be done in every classroom every day. Chapter 3 talks about effective instruction and assessment. So in Adelanto, we offer two programs. We offer structured English immersion, or SEI, and our dual language. Another important piece is the LPAC summative. So that's an annual assessment that all of our English learners take so that we can monitor their annual progress. That doesn't mean we shouldn't be monitoring their progress throughout the year using other assessments, but that does give us a snapshot a year apart. Chapter 4 talks about our family and community partnership. And this part really shares the main essential element are our parent advisory committees. We have our District English Learner Advisory Committee, or DLAC, and then we have our Site-Based English Learner Advisory Committee, ELAC. The plan explains their roles and responsibilities of providing the input for educating our English learners. So we must have their input on the plan, their ideas, their voice. Then they take the district information that we talk about, and it's delivered back to the school sites and vice versa. So things from the school come to our district meetings. So these advisory committees are required, and actually they're two very good meetings that you can get a lot of input from families, and even talking with English learners at those is important too, because they're the ones being educated. They know what they need as well. To round out in Chapter 5, we talk about our English Learner Program and program evaluation. So this talks about our state and federal funding sources to help support English learners. And you'll see outlined all the different funding sources that we have coming in that expect us to use some of those monies for educating our English learner. Especially federal Title III, 100% is for our English learners. And it has to be spent in doing different things for them. And then we round off also talking about program evaluation. So we need to make sure that we're using our money, to support our English learners, and that our English learners are making progress. So it talks about our evaluation process and making sure that that is happening. And a lot of that happens when we share data with our DLAC parents and our ELAC parents as well. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Board, do you have any questions or comments? Okay.
I just wanted to say thank you for your presentations tonight. They were all very, very informative. And I appreciate the little slideshows. So thank you.
Okay, hearing no further comments, we'll move on to Section 5. Closed session declarations. We'll be taking items 5.02 through 5.04 into closed session. Moving on to Section 6, public testimony before closed session. Six point zero one, public comment period. The public comment period is administered by state law and is the point in the meeting set aside for members of the public to share their opinions with the board. Open meeting laws do not permit the board to engage in dialogue or answer questions. Any person who wishes to address the governing board on closed session issues, agenda items only, must complete and submit an AESD speaker request form 5 minutes before the meeting is called to order. Public comments will only be taken on agenda items during the discussion of those items. The board values public comments, and although the Board of Trustees cannot take action or discuss items not on the agenda, the Board of Trustees listens carefully and appreciates input from the public. Additionally, a public speaker can be cut off for exceeding the allotted time or for willfully causing an actual disruption to the meeting. Before cutting a person off or removing someone, the board will give at least one clear warning. If you were cut off or warned last time, please consider that your warning. Individual speakers are allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each closed session agenda item. The board limits the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentations depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of speakers or for or against a particular issue and may ask that additional persons speak only if they have something new to add. Mr. Kraus, do we have any speakers for ADTA?
Yes, Madam President, we'd like to call Ms. Jennifer Rader to the podium this evening.
Good evening, board. Hi. Before I get into my remarks, I'd like to remark on the presentations we just had. They were fabulous, very informative. But there's something about the test scores that I need to illuminate, and it's that the CASP test is very flawed, or else across the state we have higher averages. Affluent districts and the public schools that are in really, really top districts are not acing the test either. And so that's something to look at. Is the test is problematic at best. Another note is that we need to be following cohorts of students. This is where we should be looking for growth, not among sets of kids that are extremely different every year from year to year. And we're trying to look for some patterns, and there's no patterns to be seen. We need to be following a cohort. So those are two little little things I wanted to add into that. But I am very impressed with what I saw, and I'm happy to be part of this district. So I'm going to go on with my notes. You'll see. It's November, and in November we traditionally focus on all the things we're grateful for. So I've been considering all the things that I'm grateful for about AESD. I'm actually very grateful to be a part of the Adelanto School District family, more so than ever before. I'm in a unique position that I'm able to see a lot of different districts and a lot of different boards. And the more I see of other districts and other boards and other school systems, the more impressed I am with ours. This board meetings, the format has, maybe I'm paying more attention now, I guess, but the format has improved. The questions have improved. The presentations have improved. It's all very student learning centered. It's very focused on how we can help our kids. And I'm not seeing that across the board if I look at other districts. So I'm off my notes here, so you can always tell. Okay. I've had the unique opportunity to meet more and more of my colleagues here at AESD, and I can honestly say I admire and respect those teachers I work with, both in and out of union business. I appreciate and respect my administration. Kristen Cooper and Michiko Norwood are fabulous. I've had the opportunity to work with other administrators over the years and in my role as president, and I'm constantly impressed by their professionalism. I feel encouraged that you, the board, and Mr. Kraus and Dr. Dwyzon honestly care about the well-being of our students and our teachers. I appreciate the efforts of our academic services staff, the professional learning that we get, Vicki Bell and her team of induction coaches, our PAR panel, the coordinated efforts of Carol Coburn, Lori Latimer, and Dr. Ochoa. I'm hesitant to name names because I'm sure I'm going to forget people, but I just wanted to, here goes. I sincerely appreciate having a clean and well-maintained school. I'm grateful every single day for our IT team, and I'm in awe of the sorcery and magic that they engineer. It's witchcraft and sorcery to me. I'm thankful for the nutrition services staff. I'm thankful for the bus drivers. God bless them. I'm thankful for our paraeducators, the librarians, the office staff at all the sites, and also at the DO. Some people I've had the pleasure of work with for upwards of 20 years, and I think they know who they are. I'm grateful to have an HR staff, Kim, Dana, Yvette, and Eddie, who are so attentive to our school's needs. And I'm grateful for Melanie Olsen Zavala, a person who genuinely cares about our employees. And so many more that I haven't mentioned. I wish I had all the names. Mostly, I feel really blessed to be in a district that demonstrates respect for the work I and my colleagues do, truly the work that all of us do, and the challenges that come with it. Last year, you demonstrated that respect with a salary increase that brought us back on par with most of the area districts after many years of being at the very end of the line. That was a very good thing. Please consider making a commitment to maintaining that show of respect and of not letting us fall behind again. With all the things that I am grateful for, I have to acknowledge that our clientele, the very reason we are here, our students themselves, make it the hardest job I ever had to do. And each year it gets harder. Adelanto School District does come with unique struggles and challenges, and this is to be expected in a district where 88% of our students are from the low socioeconomic backgrounds or foster youth or second language learners. It's a really hard job, and it's harder here than in other districts. Apple Valley, Victorville, Snowline, there are very different social structures in those districts. We have to have a unique calling to be working at Adelanto, and the teachers here do. We see it as a personal ministry, a personal mission. And in light of that difference, I hope you recognize the need for us to stay highly competitive in the salary and benefits in order to attract and retain the highest qualified and skilled professionals, because Adelanto kids do deserve the best. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Kraus, we have a representative from CSEA.
Mr. Sinatra, do you see anyone on Zoom raising their hand for CSEA this evening?
Not at this moment, no.
Not at this moment, Madam President.
Do we have any representatives from the audience?
Not for closed session this evening, Madam President.
Well, thank you very much. Okay. Well, Z, can I get a motion to recess to closed session?
So do I motion that we go to closed session?
Webster, I second.
Ms. LeVey, could you please call for the vote?
Trustee Soto,
So do I.
trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Love French, I. Motion passed 5-0. The time is 7:06. We are in closed session. Welcome back, everyone. The time is 8:55. Ms. LeVey, please roll call, please.
Trustee Benz,
Present.
trustee Turner,
Turner, present.
trustee Soto,
Soto present.
trustee Webster,
Webster, present.
trustee La French.
Love French present. Quorum has been established. Section 9, announcements and reportable actions taken during closed session. There were none. Move it along to section 10, public testimony. Mr. Kraus, do we have any speakers for ADTA?
Mr. Sinatra, do we see anybody raising their hand in Zoom?
Not at this time, no.
Not at this time, Madam President, for ADTA.
Thank you. Do we have anyone for CSEA?
Mr. Sinatra, anyone raising their hand for CSEA on Zoom?
Not at this time, no.
Not at this time for CSEA, Madam President.
Thank you. Do we have any public comments?
We do have one person that, Mr. Sinatra, if you could look for Brianna Amaya. Earlier, she had put in to speak, but we're not sure if she's still with us. If you can check Mr. Sinatra, the last name, Amaya.
I do not see them in Zoom, no.
All right, that was the only public comment this evening for open session, Madam President.
Thank you. Moving along to section 11, adoption of the minutes. Trustees, I need a motion to approve as written. The minutes as written in order field regular board meeting of October the 3rd, 2023, and regular board meeting of October the 24th, 2023. May I get a motion?
Webster, I motion to approve.
So do I second that motion?
Ms. LeVey, please take the vote.
Trustee Soto,
So do I.
trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Left French, I. Motion passed 5-0. Section 11.02, trustees, I need a motion to approve as written in order field the regular board meeting of March the 14th, 2023, clerical error for item 16.07.
A motion that we approve.
Webster, I second.
Ms. LeVey, please take the vote.
Trustee Soto,
So do I.
trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I really wanted to comment, if you could clarify what was that clerical error for the record?
So for that particular item, it was not written correctly. It was approved. The Board of Trustees approved it, but we accidentally wrote the wrong information on there. So we're just bringing it back with the right writing.
So you don't remember what it was about?
Yeah, it is. Let me pull it up real quick. So for 1607, it was moved and seconded, but it was to adopt the second read of the Adelanto Elementary School District Board Policy 5145.3 AR non-discrimination harassment. And instead, it was to approve Board Policy 514152 suicide. And so that was incorrect. So to correct it, we brought it back to the board so that we can go ahead and approve it as it was read out during the board meeting.
Thank you, Ms. LeVey.
You're welcome.
Turner, I.
Trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Left French, I. Motion passed 5-0. Section 12, consent agenda. We're taking items 12.02 through 12.53. Does any trustee want to pull an item?
Yes. I wanted to pull 12.15, 12.18. And I was going to pull, but enough was on that one. 12.31, but I'll go ahead and not pull that.
Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda with the exception of 12.15 and 12.18?
Trustee Turner, I motion to approve the remaining consent agenda.
Trustee Trustee Webster, I second.
Ms. LeVey, please take the vote.
Trustee Soto,
So do I.
trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Left French, I. Motion passed 5-0. Items removed from the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve item 12.15?
Trustee Turner, I motion to approve.
Benz, I second.
We're open for discussion.
I pulled this item not basically for information, just for comment. This agenda, this field trip is to the city of Victorville by hosted by Senator Wilkes' office, and a number of our students are going. And I was also invited to go to this, but however, I can't go and I wish I could. We will be in CSBA on that date. And so I would have loved for our students to support our students in going to the city of Victorville and hearing Senator Wilkes, the 21st Senate District of California. So I know that this will be a very well-educated study trip for our students. So I just want to say thank you to the city of Victorville for putting this together.
I'm glad you brought this up because the Mayor Jones, she also called me. And at first I was like, yes, it's like, wait a minute. It's like, I'm gonna be in CSBA. So unfortunately, I had to decline, but I would have loved to have been there.
Just a clerical error, Senator Wilk, his last name is spelled wrong. There's no E at the end. Just so we're respectful to him, that's all.
Thank you. No other comments? Ms. LeVey, please take the vote.
Trustee Soto,
So do I.
trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Love French, I. Motion passed 5-0. Can I get a motion to approve section 12.18?
Turner, I motion to approve.
Benz, I second.
We're open for discussion.
Okay, I pulled this one because it's approval of a sixth grade study trip to the Museum of Making Music in Carlsbad on November 30th. Now, all the other study trips have the number of volunteers and chaperones and the number of students that will be on this field trip, all except for this one. And I pulled this one because I also wanted to question, a lot of these are coming up really shortly, and I noticed that we have a number of volunteers, and I was just wondering, in the event that a volunteer or chaperone does not show up, how would we handle that? Will all of the students be able to go without the number of volunteers that's indicated in the board approved? And how would that work? I just pulled this one because it didn't show anything on it.
Thank you, trustee Turner, for your questions on this item. I do apologize. Under the description of services, it does say 16 students and 2 volunteers of the ratio of 10-1 on there, but I will make it more clear on under the recommendation as we move forward on that for the board. As far as if somebody's not able to go, the school site usually will find somebody, because as we heard earlier this evening from Dr. Twizon, we're up to, I believe, well over 200 volunteers in the district. And a lot of those volunteers are now able to volunteer at several school sites and not just the individual school site their children may be at. And so they go through the process, but I've never really encountered where we haven't been able to find somebody, but we would not send a group of students somewhere if we did not have the required amount of adults. For sure, we'd have to probably reschedule because we don't want to send a group down without proper supervision on a trip. And
Okay.
so a lot of these trips that you see before the board can be moved to a later date if that is the case at some point. And so then we would again bring it back to the board for approval of a different date in the future if we were not able to get the required amount of chaperones, volunteers.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kraus.
Yes, ma'am.
Hearing no further discussion, Mrs. LeVey, please take the vote.
Madam President, just for clarification, trustee Turner, you went ahead and you first, and then Ben seconded,
I
correct?
motion to approve. Right?
Wonderful, thank you. Trustee Soto,
So do I.
trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Love French, I. Motion passed 5-0. New business 14.01. Trustees, I need a motion to approve the 2023-2026 English Learner Master Plan.
Webster, I motion to approve the 23 through 26 English Learner Master Plan.
Benz, I second it.
We're open for discussion. Hearing none, Ms. LeVey, please take the vote.
Trustee Soto,
Soto, I.
trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Love French, I. Motion passed 5-0. 14.02. Trustees, I need a motion to approve the revised volunteer chaperone handbook.
Webster, I motion to approve with discussion.
Soto, I second.
We're open for discussion.
Yeah, I wanted to make a comment on this on one of the pages. I'm getting there real quick. Finding it. Okay. So on one of the pages in the handbook, it states that parents are to follow the dress code of the students, although it goes into pretty intense detail in regards to what we as a district expect when you are volunteering or chaperoning. I was wondering if I could get consensus to strike the last sentence on that, as adults should follow the student dress code due to some of our schools having actual student dress codes.
Shouldn't that be like staff dress code or?
That's what I was thinking, is because it reads pretty well.
That's on?
Oh, sorry, page 7, the
Okay.
very top paragraph. It starts on the end of 6 on dress.
Okay.
And it does go on to discuss, take the lead from staff, dress appropriately for the job that you are doing. If you are assisting with an art project, you will be appropriately dressed. But on the last paragraph of that, it does state adults should follow the student dress code, and
does.
it's a little funky.
I agree. That should say staff. It should have staff.
Yeah.
Professional
Staff
dress
dress
code
code. Staff dress code.
or professional dress code.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I kind of, well, if we say to follow the student dress code, right, can students come to school with open-toe shoes on?
I would professional dress code.
Because the students can't come to school with open-toe shoes, but the staff can.
Can they?
Yes, they can.
Oh,
So should the parents have to be professionally dressed and the staff?
There should be a dress code for sure, for
I don't
chaperones.
think that we want to say that our parents have to be professionally dressed in order to volunteer when the dress code for the staff, I think that the parents should match the same dress code as that.
Well, if you look at our policy, it does say professional dress code.
and if you refer back to the paragraph, it does further say casual clothes are often the most appropriate clothes to wear in a classroom setting or during a field study trip. Keep in mind that you will serve as a role model for the students. Therefore, we ask your attire to be neat. I mean, it elaborates on the standards that we're looking for.
Are you suggesting just to strike that last?
Yeah,
sentence?
I was just gonna take it all out.
Okay. The last sentence.
The very last sentence of that paragraph.
I'm okay with that.
That
Yeah.
sounds good.
Let's take it out.
Take it out.
Yeah.
Do we need a new motion?
I know. I have some things on this too.
Okay.
Okay, on page 5, where it talk about, in the event, it's in red. A volunteer chaperone volunteer for a study trip that is extended for overnight stay. Provisions to ensure the safety and well-being of all participants should include. This is very vague. And what I've done is I searched for other districts' policies on overnight field trips. And I pulled one from Seattle Public Schools. And it's very detailed. It's a very detailed procedure for overnight. It also talk about in the event that I have personal emergencies, please contact. They talk about who's sleeping in the children's room. They talk about a lot of different things here. So I would motion to table this again, because I think that when we take our students away overnight, there should be some really strict guidelines that should be followed for the protection of our students and our staff. And you know, the next field trip that's coming up, a large amount of students will be attending. So we need to really look at this and see how can we expand on this, because this is very vague, and I want us to make sure that we're protecting our students to the fullest when they're on an overnight trip. So I would like to just submit this, what I have, and maybe if you can look any further to add to it, we can. And I just stapled it to that policy, but it's very vague. So can we, I would like to
Make a new
re-motion.
motion. Mhm.
Yes.
So a substitute motion, please.
A motion that we table the volunteer chaperone handbook to include overnight study trips. A whole separate section for that. I was also made aware that these trips are with ASB are just barely coming to the board this year, and that they've been going on for a long time. And I just want to say that if the board has not approved those trips, then our insurance company cannot support that, and we're held liable for those. So any site that's planning on taking a trip, especially overnight, they must come to the board to get approval. In the event that something happens, hopefully it won't, at least it'll be approved, and our JPA, our insurance company, will be made aware, because it'll be an approved field trip that the board has certified.
So I do have a
Can I
motion.
get a
Trustee Turner, I need a second.
second?
Benz, I second to motion to table.
Ms. LeVey, can you take the vote, please?
Trustee Soto,
So do I.
trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, aye.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Love French, I motion passed 5-0. Section 15, policy introductions, updates and readings. 15.01, trustees, I need a motion to adopt and approve the second read of board policy 5131, conduct.
Webster, I motion for discussion and approval.
So do I second.
We're open for discussion.
On page, looks like 2 of the conduct policy, there is a place that states wearing of any attire that violates district or school dress code, including gang-related apparel. I would like to add gang or drug-related apparel.
Secondary motion for that? No. Oh. Okay, well,
Yes.
please take the vote.
Do we?
So it'll say gang
And drug.
and drug related. Okay, I'll go ahead and I'll take the vote. Trustee Soto,
So do I.
trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, aye.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
Trustee La French.
Left French, I. Motion passed 5-0. 15.02, trustees, I need a motion to adopt and approve the second read of board policy 5131.6, alcohol and other drugs.
Webster, I motion to adopt and approve the second read of board policy 5131.6.
So do I second.
We're open for discussion. Hearing none, Ms. LeVey, please take the vote.
Trustee Soto,
So do I.
trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Left French, I. Motion passed 5-0. Moving to 15.03. Trustees, I need a motion to adopt and approve the second read of administrative regulation AR 5131.6, alcohol and other drugs.
Webster, I motion to adopt and approve second read of administrative regulation 5131.6.
So do I second.
We're open for discussion. Hearing none, Ms. LeVey, please take the vote.
Trustee Soto,
So do I.
trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Left French, I. Motion passed 5-0. By 15.04. Trustees, I need a motion to adopt and approve the second read and bylaws 9250, remuneration, reimbursement, and other benefits.
So do I motion that we approve.
Turner, I second.
We're open for discussion. Hearing none, Mrs. LeVey, please take the vote.
Trustee Soto,
So do I.
trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Left French, I. Motion passed 5-0. 15.05. Trustees, I need a motion to adopt and approve the second read of administrative regulation 1240, volunteer assistance.
Webster, I motion to adopt and approve the second read of administrative regulation 1240.
So do I second.
We're open for discussion. Hearing none, Ms. LeVey, please take the vote.
Trustee Soto,
Yes.
trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Left French, I. Motion passed 5-0. Section 16, governing board members' reports and announcements. 16.01.
I'll go.
What did you know I was gonna say, Ben?
I volunteerist tribute. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. I just really want to wish everyone a very safe and, family-filled Thanksgiving. Kids, please enjoy your break. Parents, enjoy your kids. Staff, thank you for all you do. Enjoy your break. Don't grade stuff. And that's it. That's all I've got.
Don't break stuff.
Don't grade stuff.
Great. Okay, trustee Soto.
I don't have much. I'm very excited towards the direction that the school is going. We have an excellent superintendent. We have an excellent board, an excellent assistant superintendent. And so I'm very excited towards the direction of the school. And I'll be reporting more out once we come back from CSBA. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving right along to trustee Turner.
Okay, I just like to give thanks, and thank you, Ms. Rader, for your acknowledging and giving thanks for this past year, and being appreciative for being a part of this district. I'm too is very appreciative of being a part of this district. We have a great district, we have a great board. And I'm thankful that every day I walk in here, my heart is not beating. It doesn't feel like I'm about to have a heart attack or a stroke. I see laughter, I see warmth, I see love, and I know that we can only get better as time moves forward. I'm happy with our superintendent and our assistant superintendent, Dr. DeWise. I can't say over academic services because you are everywhere. So are you, Mr. Krause. You're in all different departments, and our administrative assistants, Ms. LeVay and Mrs. Peralta. And where did Sandra go? She left for a second, and Veronica's not here. And I just want to say thank you, our IT department, for keeping us up running. You know, our security that's sitting in the back, you know, keeping us safe here. You know, I'm blessed, you know, beyond measures. And I just want everyone to have a restful, peaceful Thanksgiving. Don't eat too much and enjoy your family or friends, whatever you decide to do during this break. Looking forward to next year, and I see the district doing great things. So that's all I have. Thank you. Thank you, my board.
Thank you.
And what did you say, Beth?
I'm
Are
gonna need
you
5 of
telling me
them.
to be quiet?
Okay, Webster.
Alrighty, good evening, AESD friends and family. Tonight, I want to talk about something that I see going around. I've gotten to see many sites in the last few weeks, so I wanted to recap. First, I want to shout out to our Gus Franklin family and say that the Fall Festival Trunk or Treat was amazing. I got to share the night with an awesome third grade team and help out with our booth. It was truly great to spend the time with teachers, parents, and students. And I want to thank admin over there for all the pitching in and making the possibility for the students and families to gather. Another fun activity was at Melva Davis's Steam Scream Night. I had the pleasure of enjoying the night with my daughter, walking around seeing the amazing job this site did at the event. I want to take a moment to recognize the awesome science room. You could walk through and see the projects our talented young minds have been working on. Our night also included a very exciting trunk or treat with some extremely impressive detail into these cars. I want to recognize the students again over at Melba Davis. That haunted maze was exceptional. The maze was such a surprise. It not only had a very, very good scare factor, but the decor and actors were phenomenal as well. Thank you to Miss Yuskevich for inviting me over at the PBIS Awards. It was tremendously amazing for the family to get out. Furthermore, I want to touch base on some of the amazing things I saw over at Morgan Kincaid. I had the pleasure of touring classrooms and seeing an abundance of creativity going on. I also had the pleasure of seeing the outcome of this Socktober. Socktober included the donations of socks to our school over there, and they did come up with a lot of socks. I believe it was actually more like 3,000. A special thank you to the teachers, students, and parents involved with that event, as I firsthand can say there will be a lot of warm feet. I would like to take a moment and thank all of our veterans staff for the service in our military forces as we celebrated Veterans Day just last Saturday. I was made aware we have many veterans within our district from many different branches of service. So I once again thank all of our staff for the service they dedicated to our country. To close tonight's comments, I would like to take a moment to show gratitude. I know our trustees work to make sure we are making the best choices for our kids. It is truly a blessing to work with those sitting up here tonight with me, as they often inspire, drive, encourage, and motivate me. I am thankful to have all of you beside me. I want to thank Mr. Krause and Dr. Dworzon for their tireless efforts. With half of our cabinet still being built, the two of you have heeded so many additional jobs without hesitation or complaint. Despite the stress, you hold it together so well. Thank you for being the team players that you are and having the dedication to our district. I want to thank our staff for the amazing job we have done so far this year with our sites, our students, and our progress. I know it's a team effort, like a finely oiled machine. Each player plays a key part in making tomorrow better than today. So to each individual in our AESD family, thank you for being the amazing people that you are. I hope everyone gets a well-needed break from the routine of monotony this upcoming week and make sure you get some relaxation. I hope everyone has a great night and a wonderful holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we only have a couple of minutes left. I wanted to say thank you to, I had the opportunity to go to Mesa Linda's Harvest Fest. And when I went there, I met a teacher by the name of Gwendolyn Wilson Montgomery. I want to say that I thank her for welcoming me. It was dark. She had a table full of stuff that she was selling. I wanted her to know that it didn't go unnoticed to me, and I appreciate everything that she was doing for her students. We talked about her class. She teaches us special ed class. It was exciting to hear her story regarding how long she had been with our district. And I didn't tell her, but I wanted to tell her today, thank you for all that she does. I concur with everything that everyone said on the board tonight. I am appreciative for being a part of this board. With that being said, please have a restful Thanksgiving. And I need a motion to adjourn.
Turner, I motion to adjourn.
So do I second.
Ms. LeVey, please take that vote.
Trustee Soto,
So do I.
trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Love French, I. Motion passed 5-0. We're going home and the time is 9:28. Thank you.
Thank you.